So welcome to day 70 of scaling my marketing agency to 10k a month. But today was quite a weird day, but definitely a positive one. I think the funny thing is at the minute, and I guess obviously if you're watching the videos kind of chronologically, which is probably quite a very few of you, but obviously the videos will probably be up for a very long time, so there'll be more of you as time goes on. But in current time, if you're seeing like the last few videos and to be honest, the whole series so far, you would see that kind of a recurring theme is how, in a sense, and I'm only able to say this from even over the last few days, learning more about just the process of growing into becoming a new person and trying to change your life. But I guess basically all the pushback over the last few months has mainly been from me and essentially my growing pains, as you cannot be, if you saw my long monologue yesterday around how it is that you basically make change in your life, you'll see that I was talking about the fact that obviously what I've been learning is the fact that and this is probably something that I've known for a long time, but to be able to put it into words and like an actual theory and actual pragmatic ways about how to go about it was really good. The fact that you start with your identity, you have to change that to be aligned with what you want to happen in your life. Because if you change your identity to be that of what you want to be, in a sense, the type of person that you would be if you were to have the things that that person has, you need to get that at the core fundamentally, because then that will affect your beliefs, your thoughts, and then your actions, and it goes down in a funnel like that, or outwards like an onion. If you were to see the rings in it, or like the earth or whatever. And I guess what's interesting about that for me is that I guess a lot of it I've been trying to do the actions, but not being consistent, because I felt that weirdly for one of the first times in my life when I started this business, I did have a doubt, which is weird because I know the first kind of time when I was like a kid, when I decided I want to be an entrepreneur basically in the future, I would want to have my own business. I think the few years after that, and I was like 11 when I said that, I think the few years after that, I think I'd kind of, once school had got a bit more serious and I was thinking about all those things, I think I kind of lost some of that. And when you see, bad things happen to yourself, maybe you do bad on one test or etc., or whatever, you get one rejection from something that you apply to. I think a lot of people call that adulting, in a sense, learning that shit does happen. But I don't think that should take away from that kind of, when I was 11, that kind of innocent self that, yes, was naive. Of course, I was a child, but it doesn't mean that the same envisionment and the same vision and the same dream that I had of just being able to start my own business and, kind of on a high level, just earn more money than ever has been kind of in my bloodline, in a sense. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, but on the face of it, I guess that's part of what I wanted. I don't think that should be taken away because, well, when you start to become an adult, you have to think of things more in reality. I think that's also kind of a bit of a loser's mentality. But yeah, basically yesterday was a big fight in my head, basically between my old self and my desired self. That's how I'm kind of trying to frame it at the minute, because the old self and the anxious part of me and the nervous part of me that has a lot of fear and stress around, I want to be this and I'm not yet, and every tiny micro action I do that isn't in alignment with that person, it in my head makes me feel crazy and well, how can I be that person? And I guess it's just, as soon as you put it into words like that, you realise how flawed and how stupid that mentality is, because as soon as if I end this video and I start, I click onto another tab of a YouTube video because it's like a bit easier and it doesn't require as much mental strain. What will happen in my head is I'll think, oh, well, there you go, done it again. How would you deserve 10k a month, for example, like what I start all these videos with and the goal is for the year. How could you, have a successful business when you're doing all these things? But just that in itself is it goes against everything I've just explained in terms of if you want to go undertake change in your life, you can't let yourself believe or have the identity, like hold on to your previous identity by saying, oh look, there's, all throughout the day basically, I'm trying to work on these things, and some parts of the day and other parts of the day are more or less productive, right? And that's probably a normal thing at all levels of entrepreneurship and people that are doing and running massive companies. Probably there's times where they don't feel like they're getting through the work, but that doesn't mean to say that when that does happen for me that I have to be saying, oh look, there you go, there's proof again that you don't deserve it, because your brain always reflects back to you what you believe to be true and what you're saying to yourself. There's like that phrase around the fact that I can't even remember like the short phrase, but it's the idea that the mirror can't smile at you first. Like if you go to a mirror and you're like telling it like you got to smile, obviously you look like a crazy man, but as soon as you smile, what you see back is what you're putting in. So it can't happen for you, and it won't happen without you saying or doing it first. And you will what will be reflected back to you is what you believe to be true, and based on, therefore, if you believe it to be true, you'll then carry out the actions of it, and that's why it becomes true. Ultimately, it only becomes true because you've actioned what it is that the identity and the beliefs and the thoughts will then enable you to do the things that is required to become the person that you believe yourself to be. So that was like a massive part of the day. Me just going backwards and forward on that. I basically in the middle of the day bought a book called Psycho-Cybernetics, which is a book that goes basically really deep into what it is that I've just been explaining. Obviously I also spoke about it in the previous video, which is the concepts of that book, but I wasn't aware that it was from that book. Once I become aware of it, I just bought it and I've ordered it. So that will come literally the next day, which is great. And yeah, beyond that, I also had a sales call, which is the first time that I have basically done the offer that I wanted to do from the beginning, which isn't basically a really low setup fee plus commission, because obviously commission also takes a while. If somebody isn't ready to start the campaign straight away, or it takes a while to get into the campaign, there's kind of two things there, maybe even three. The first is the offer that I pitched to the people on these calls was £1,500 for 3 months, for 90 days. And I mean, straight away, that's a fair amount. £500 a month, basically, for me to provide services, which means that they are basically having appointments. For some of them I'm working with them, they wouldn't have any unless we were working on this. So I think it's a fair price. And I can work that down. Like I have Klarna built into the payment system, which means that if they wanted to do 3 payments of £500, they could just automatically do it through there, and that means that I would still get just over £1,400 straight into my account, even though they had only paid the initial £500 because of the way obviously the credit system works. It's more fees, but I would still get a lot up front, which would enable me then to put more into ads. And basically, because I'm managing cash flow a bit better like that, I can obviously invest basically more into the business. So again, I'm starting to learn all these things and everything. And I realised it when I was on the pre-call for the sales call that I did back in London, when I was talking about the big investment that I did, or the big deposit that I put on the investment. I don't have to go ahead with the investment, but obviously I put a deposit down and I've committed to it financially there. And what he said was kind of like, why so low? Like when I told him about my pricing. And I kind of realised that, yeah, I am undervaluing myself just because, basically because I've been working like a long time by now, basically on this business. Like it hasn't been like a crazy amount of time, but it's also a long enough time for me to be sat here saying and thinking like it's just normal and it's my life now that I wake up and work on this business. It's like that's normal, that's my life now. It's not like still like 3 months ago I was doing something completely different or I wasn't thinking about this, because I've been working on this now for closer to a year than not. So I think because there was a lot of time there where I wasn't actively working with clients, I wasn't actively getting the feedback in my head that I was getting good results for clients, then because of that, it means that I guess maybe some of my confidence dropped in the fact that, well, why would I charge someone like a high price when in my head, I don't know even if I believe that I can give good results. So these are other things, and these are things that I'm trying to journal now and trying to work through, because ultimately the mentality is the biggest thing. The reason why, like, I've got a few campaigns to work on for the 2 clients that I'm onboarding currently from last week. The reason that's not already done, I think, is because of my limiting beliefs around what are the results that I can get for them. So then there becomes resistance around me actually building the campaigns for them, because I'm like, well, can I even, deliver what it is that I say I can? So as you can see, it becomes like a whole thing and builds anxiety. But I guess the only way through it is to understand what's your beliefs around it. How can you change those? So the SD card went out, but as I was saying, the only way to change those is change your beliefs around. Say, for example, obviously in this situation, I'm talking about the fact that I'm worried about whether I can deliver good results. Well, the only way around that is for me to understand I have given good results and I can give more good results, and there's no reason I won't be able to. And also use the resources that I already have. I've paid for a program already in the past, which has modules around client delivery that I have not completed. So how can I go around saying, well, I don't know if I can give good results if I'm not using all the resources to my ability to be able to provide them? So I think, there's definitely, more to be said there and done around basically biting the bullet, eating the frog, whatever the saying is you want to use, around making sure I'm doing the work that I have to do the only ways through, especially with the anxiety and stress that I feel. Genuinely, the only way I've been able to reduce it is by 2 things: gaining perspective on actually how well I am doing in this situation, and the fact that I'm even thinking about trying to, and on that call, quoting £1,500 to somebody and it not being a crazy figure for them. The only reason they didn't go ahead is because they had another call with somebody and they wanted to understand what another person had to say, and they wouldn't get around that. And we have another call booked in for Saturday to see if we can go ahead. But the other person they have that call with is somebody that has been doing it for ages and is really good at what they're doing. So whether it goes through or not, honestly, is besides the point. It's more the fact that I'm getting to a point now where I'm able to get good calls like that from the leads that I'm getting. Yeah, getting good sales calls, getting good, getting good indications of the business going forward. I just think the only reason it feels stagnant is because I'm being stagnant. I think that's the only reason. Like, from me doing not a lot, basically, I've been able to set calls and take clients, even though I've not been working to my 100%. So imagine if I am, the results I can get for myself and the results I can get for my clients. So it can only get better if I do. So yeah, just excited for it really. There's lots of possibilities and there's lots of good things happening at the minute, and if I want them to keep happening, I know exactly how to do it, so I just have to.